This podcast was produced from a webinar. For a more interactive experience with visuals, visit advancedmanufacturing.org/webinars.
Hi, and welcome to another SME Media webinar. I'm Rachel Thomas, editor at SME Media. Today we'll explore the topic, Accelerate Your FAI Process by 90% without sacrificing accuracy. This presentation is sponsored by Discus Software, and we're joined by Jeff Davis, account manager at Discus. Now it's my pleasure to turn things over to Jeff. Welcome, and we're happy to have you join us today.
Rachel, thank you so much for that introduction. I really appreciate it. How's it going, everybody? Yes, again, my name is Jeff Davis. I've been with Discus Software for quite some time now. And the whole purpose here is to be able to make sure that you understand how you can improve your first article inspection reporting. If you're doing anything manually right now, we have revolutionized and modernized the entire reporting and documentation for you. So you can do this simply in a matter of minutes, as opposed to hours or days. We'll go through this. We're looking at about 60 minutes today. I don't like to have death by PowerPoint, but I also want to be thorough and also have an agenda set out for us today. So when we do open up Discus, we get a good feel of how the software works. So when you request an evaluation license, you already understand a little bit of what you can do. All right. So as we're seeing in front of us right now, yes, I represent Discus Software. My name is Jeff Davis, and my contact information is there in front of you. You can either contact me by phone at 614-360-2424, extension 17, or by email at jdavis@discussoftware.com. We'll go ahead and move over into the next slide now. And just keep in mind that we're the pioneers in this industry, right? So we've been doing this for 2 decades at this point, 2 decades that we have been helping shops with being able to balloon and automate their entire process. So our company is based out of Ohio. I'm actually in California to give us 3 additional hours of assistance. So if there are any calls that come in after hours for Ohio, I'm always there to help you out. So the next thing we're going to be looking at today is our customers, right? So we're looking at over 2,500 customers to 3,000 customers. And this is worldwide. And we work with the largest OEMs. So whether that's Lockheed, whether that's NGC, whether we're looking at the DoD, DOW, all the way down, whether that's Boeing, Airbus. We also work with mom and pop shops. So for us, whether it's, T1, T2, T3, we're here to assist. And speaking of assistance, we have active support. So this is really important here. We have active support. And that's through our support portal. We have documentation, we have tutorials, we have feature requests. So anything you would need to be able to get yourself onboarded, have a streamlined experience so you know exactly how to use the software, we'll help you with that. And you have personalized experience or personalized assistance from myself as well. So it's not just our support team, but if you give me a call at any moment, if I'm not in a webinar or a training or a demo, you get it, then I'll be able to help you out. We primarily serve aerospace, but that doesn't mean that we don't help out automotive, medical, and heavy machinery. It's just that aerospace tends to be the vertical that uses Discus the most. If we're moving into our next slide here, we're looking at the 2D FAI suite. Now, this is essentially the bread and butter. So everybody starts with a 2D FAI suite and then adds on, let's say, different modules. So 2D FAI suite is comprised of modules desktop, IDA, and results. And that might not mean much to you at this very moment, but it will by the time that we're done with the webinar. Desktop is to be able to add all of your prints, your drawings into Discus, right? You can manually balloon from there. IDA is our intelligent drawing analysis tool, okay? So that is your intelligent drawing analysis tool. So it's going to search for every callout feature dimension, all of your GD&T that you have on your print to be able to extract that information and data and add it into your bill of characteristics. And it can do this with one click, or you can have a little bit more control. You'll be saving about that 80% time. Now from there, you can enter your results, and you can do this either by importing a CSV file through our CMM or through our results module. So we have 2 different ways to be able to add in results. And one of the most important things, you have all of this data, everything added into Discus, but what do you do from there? Well, you want to be able to export to a compliant document, whether it's AS9102, ISO, PPAP, or just a customized template from your customer. We are able to create those templates for you on your behalf. That way, it makes it very simple within Discus to be able to export and add it to your repository or share it back with your customer. All right, so now we're going to be looking at how auto ballooning kind of looks. So when I mentioned IDA, that intelligent drawing analysis tool, this is like OCR on steroids, right? So you're able to adjust your requirements. You're able to, and this is more like a granular view, right? So on your end, you'll see this and you can see that we have characteristic type, data type, nominal, upper lower tolerances. You can change the unit of measurement. It's very granular and it's tailored to each characteristic. So you can change any of these details and all this data. We also have our new auto ballooning feature, and we are constantly updating IDA. And now we have updates every quarter. So as opposed to every 6 months, every quarter now you're getting a release. These orange rectangles that you're seeing, these are what we call candidates. And candidates are just raising their hand, right? They are dimensions or callouts that are raising their hand, saying that they are ready to become a characteristic. At this point, they are not a characteristic. They are a candidate. They do not show up in your report. They do not show up in your export. But this allows you to have that one-click solution where you can either cast a net, and I'll show you how that looks a little bit later. You can either cast a net, double-click, or you can just select auto balloon. And lastly, when we look over here, you'll notice that everything seems to already be added into our BOC. Now, that is the advantage of IDA. Once you balloon your characteristics, they are automatically added into your bill of characteristics. So you don't have to go through each of the requirements and add them yourself, add in the tolerances, find the location. You don't need to do that. Discus does everything for you. It handles it for you. It looks like we're going to be moving into results. So with results, you get a pass, fail, caution, reading, and that it's color coded, right? So you have green for passing, yellow for caution, and red for failing. Now within Discus, you can change the color coding or the color settings to be able to match what your shop uses. Whenever you enter a result into this column here, that 0.375, it's within tolerance, so you're going to get a passing. Now something that's out of tolerance is going to get a failing, and it does this automatically. Next, we're moving into exporting reports, which is very important as well. And all of this is contained within the 2D FAI suite. So when you hear me say 2D FAI suite, that's what I'm referring to. We are going to be able to add our drawing. Then we can automatically read all of our dimensions to be able to add this into our bill of characteristics. And then we can export our reports to a compliant document. And as I mentioned a little bit earlier, for PPAP, AS9102, ISO, custom template, you name it. We have tokens that you can add into Discus that make it so it's very easy to be able to export. And then we can also export to a PDF. We can export to Excel. We can export to NetInspect. And we can even package our TDP. And TDP is a technical data package. But we can package that so that everything is in one folder, or we can append everything to one PDF file. All right, so sometimes I will dive in, and this is where we jump into Discus. However, there might be a few other items I noticed. I think that they asked a few questions beforehand just to make sure that, just to see what everybody wanted. I feel like there was a consensus around CMM, Planner, and 3D, just to get a good feel of what we're looking at with each of our modules. So with CMM, this streamlines the reporting process. If you have a CMM, you are able to, with Discus, to be able to import your CMM report. So this is what it would look like. You're able to add in each of your criteria from your CMM and be able to map it so that Discus can find, identify, and then include that in your CMM module, which will automatically populate your results. And so it makes it so that you can remove one less step of the manual entry. So that's where CMM really comes in handy. Now, the next thing we're going to be looking at is planner. Now, with planner, you can do operational sequencing, in process, manufacturing planning, what you're seeing here, right? And it makes it so that you can assign your characteristics to operations. So whether you have cleaning, welding, deburring, heat treat, lathing, all of this can be added into Discus so that you can develop your operations and add those to your manufacturing plan. The manufacturing plan would look like this here. So you have your cover sheet, you have your routing, and then each of those operations would be added individually into your PDF. Lastly, we'll be looking at 3D. And with 3D, what we're really looking to do is interrogate your models, annotate your models, and this can be done with or without PMI, so product manufacturing information. This is the way that the process kind of looks, right? Let me move to the process flow. So if you have Discus 3D, if you have a 3D model, and it does have annotation or it does have PMI already, then you can just automatically balloon it. If it does not have PMI, you can manually interrogate it still. You can enter in your entity information. You can add balloons. You can measure. So everything that you would do in the 2D FAI suite, which is desktop ID and results, you can still do in 3D with or without that PMI. Now I'll move back just one here so you're able to see this. We can automatically detail everything, and we can do this with or without PMI. So this is our model tree and our model explorer. So you can deselect or select that PMI option there. Now this is usually towards the end. We have plenty of customers. Mind you, we have what, 2,500. Here we are. We have over 2,500 customers. So we've had a number of shops who are using Discus, who trust Discus, who have been with us for, let's say, some of them have been with us since the beginning, 2 decades. But I had one shop in particular close to me here. I met with them in person. They were 17 backlogged in their first article inspection reports, couldn't catch up. The owner was not necessarily delegating his first articles. It was something that he wanted to take ownership of. And once he used Discus, it saved him a ton of time. He went from having 17 backlog to being able within 2 to 3 days get everything in order and then start working on other items as well in the shop. So that's something he had been struggling with for a long time. Adopted Discus, and since then it's been moving pretty smoothly. I check in with them at least once or twice a year. They've been with Discus now for about 3 or 4 years. Nonetheless, we have plenty of testimonials and plenty of happy shops and customers around the world. I'll go ahead and open up Discus now. This way you can actually see how Discus works in action without trying to piece everything together based off of a slide deck, right? And we're going to be covering the 2D FAI suite. And if we have additional time, I'd still like to cover CMM, Planner, and 3D as well. But I'm going to save that towards the end. That way we can cover everything within the 2D FAI suite, all right? Okay, so let me go ahead and share my screen. I'm going to start screen share my screen, and we're going to go with our entire screen here. Oop, looks like that one closed out. Here we are. We will share here, and let's open up Discus. All right, so when we first open up Discus, there's going to be a module panel, and that module panel will have each of the modules that we discussed: desktop, IDA, results, CMM, planner, and 3D. You'll have 2 columns over here to the right: licensed and used. Licensed are the number of seats that you had purchased, and in use are the number of users who are accessing the license at that time. Now with Discus, we have a number of configurations, setups, modules, packages. So everything is kind of tailored to what you would need. Most of our shops start with the 2D FAI suite and then add other modules as on a kind of like a as need, or if it's an urgent basis. And then also think of it like this as well. If you know that you are using models, which a lot of shops are actually adopting right now, that's kind of the something that's been in talks for 7 years or so, maybe a little bit longer than that. And now it's starting to gain a lot of steam. And a lot of the OEMs are requesting that there is some sort of model identification and model annotation. So if that's something that you have a need for, that's an urgent need being passed down from OEMs, then 3D would be helpful for you. Now, manufacturing planner would be helpful for you. If you have a CMM, you would want to investigate CMM as well to see if that's something that would be good for you. These are all things that we can discuss over the phone or by email, whatever works best for you. Let's go ahead and open this up. To start, I will also include CMM and Planner, but we will not discuss this from the onset initially. Actually, we'll take these off. We'll focus on the 2D FAI suite to start. We'll reopen this if we need to. I'll select OK now. And it'll take just a second for it to load. And there we are. So you should see quick start tutorial. And with this quick start tutorial, we can just click through this, right? We don't have to worry about that too much. I'm your quick start host today. So I'll be able to assist you through that. We'll close this out. And what are we seeing here? We're seeing the welcome screen. At least I'm seeing that on my end. And I believe that everybody should be able to see the welcome screen on their end as well. So what do we have here? We're in Discus land now. And truly what we have is a way to introduce you to our reference links. So different links to our website, our recent files. So our 6 most recent Discus files, and then TDP. So I was trying to save this for last. TDP, again, is our technical data package. Now, this will hold your drawings, your documents, your certs, your specs, all in one place. So you can access this simply, but you can also export and share with your customer or add it to your repository. I can add a drawing, which we will do in just a moment. And then as we move down here, our reference links, news and tips and tutorials are pretty straightforward. This will take you to a page on our website. These will take you to pages on our website. News, we either have an update with the software or a promotion that's happening at that time. I'll go ahead and hide this screen now. And here we are. We're deeper in Discus land now. And I can either add a drawing or we can review what we have. And what we'll look at here is at the bottom, we have characteristics, results, part accountability, parts list, materials and processes, and functional tests. So this is what we would need for AS9102, right? So form 1, we're looking at with part accountability and parts list. Form 2 would be materials and processes and functional tests. And form 3 would be characteristics and results. Now keep in mind, you may have a different format. You also may be looking at different standards, whether that's ISO or PPAP. And we can customize that so that everything on your template matches what your customer needs or what you need internally. All right, so we can go ahead and look at a couple of settings. And sometimes this is, if we're doing a shorter demo, let's say 15 to 30 minutes, sometimes I don't go over each of the settings, but we have enough time here so we can cover this. First thing you want to do, go to settings, profile settings, or we'll go to application settings, IDA settings, right? Now, once we're here, we want to make sure that we have Discus enabled, or Discus IDA enabled, excuse me. And then we can scroll down and keep in mind that you can detect a flag note, a reference dimension, basic dimension. Do you want these to be reportable, non-reportable? Do you want to ignore these? You have a lot of customization, a lot of options within Discus. So once I have this set, I go to IDA advanced settings. We can set this to high and high, or high or medium, high and low, depending on how much resource utilization we're able to commit to with Discus. I can select OK once we're done, and now I can add my drawing. So we're getting close to the fun part here. What we really want to see is IDA in action, the intelligent drawing analysis tool in action. So what I'll do is I'll open up BSB Solid. This is a simple print, not too complex, and there aren't any overlapping callouts or features. We'll select Open now. And I can preview my drawing as well. You should be able to see this now. We have about 38 characteristics that we're going to be ballooning here. There aren't any notes, so keep that in mind. I might open up Grid Plate so you're able to see some notes as well. We'll close this out, and we can just add in our drawing revision here. We can switch between period and comma for our decimal separator, and then I can open up IDA processing. We can enable IDA processing, go to more options, and from here, we can include or exclude. If we have multiple sheets, we can process one sheet at a time, multiple sheets at a time. We can also preview that sheet here just by hovering over the preview option. We can automatically convert candidates to characteristics, but for this example's sake and for this webinar, I'm going to show you a few different ways to be able to balloon without automatically converting the candidates to characteristics. Now, we can exclude areas. We can also choose to change our sequencing of the balloons, whether it's clockwise, counterclockwise, left, right, top to bottom, so forth. I'll select OK. And once again, I'll select OK. And processing has started. So at this point, it will take us, it should be anywhere between 30 seconds and just a couple of minutes for this to process. If we were to go to IDA processing and show status, we can see this here. So actually, this is moving along pretty well. So this is already done on our top section. And our bottom section, we are just about complete. So this shouldn't take too much longer now. But we'll see if there's anything there. Well, I'm going to close this so I can show you another option as well. We have IDA Document Queue Manager. Now, I can add in multiple drawings at the same time and then change the priority and the queue of those drawings so that if I need one a little bit sooner than the other, and you see how quickly that's done? Just like that. I mean, I was assuming this might take us 30 seconds. It took us maybe about 15 or 20 seconds to process that entire print. Now, that's incredible because you're looking at this from the standpoint of saying, hey, I have other things that I need to do in the shop. Hey, I need to be able to get to this as quickly as possible. Now, you can allow this to run and go and take a bio break. You can step away. You can come back. You can go and get a snack, whatever you need to do. But the important thing here is that this is done quickly and efficiently. Now, you can get back to ballooning your print and creating your inspection report. Now, once these are complete, then you'll see them here. Queue complete. I just need to reset so that BSB sol will be added in here. Now that we have these candidates in place, now remember, candidates are not characteristics. Candidates are not characteristics. Candidates are raising their hand. They're features, they're callouts that are raising their hand because they're ready to become a characteristic. Now, what do I need to do for this is I can balloon this in a few different ways, but this is the fun part. We all want to see the ballooning. So I can balloon here, and that might be a little bit small for us. So I can right click, change balloon properties. I can change it from font to inches. And maybe this will be no, that's good. I think I like 0.3 a little bit better. But what I wanted to show you is we can adjust the size. Now, that's a bit obnoxious, right? We wouldn't actually keep that, but we can go down to 0.3, hit apply, and we can actually set this as our default going forward. Apply, close. And now if I balloon another one, it should be that same size. All right, there we go. We have 1 and 2. What I can do now is select multiple candidates, right? I'm selecting multiple candidates. And what I'll do now is right click and convert selected candidates to characteristics. Boom, just like that. Done, right? So what I'll do now is balloon the rest of this print. And we're going to finish 38 characteristics. Now, on your end, I would like to know how many first article inspection reports you're completing on a month-by-month basis. And then we'll look at how much time that's taking you. If you're not able to put that down to the QA section, that's okay, but just think through that a little bit. If you are going to be ballooning 38 characteristics, adding all of the requirements, adding the location, adding your tolerances, how long does that take you? How long does it take you? So now we're going to finish all of this in less than 30 seconds. And it might even take us about 15 seconds, but since I'm talking, I'm going to give myself a little bit of slack there. We're just going to click, drag, right click, and then cast a net, convert selected candidates characteristics, and we're done. And we're done. We only have a couple more to go through. And you see there's one that has that little error symbol. It's that red indicator in the BOC right here with characteristic number 28, right? Right about here. All right, characteristic number 28. We have this little symbol here that's saying, hey, there's an error. What's going on? Well, if we were to zoom in, we have 0.5, so we have one place here. And then if we were to zoom in to our title block, what's going on over there? Where we have 2 places and we have 3 places, but we don't have anything for 1 place. So Discus, not only is it identifying and being able to extract the data, but it's also able to analyze this and recognize that there is an error and we need to go and talk to our engineer. What would you like us to do if we have anything with one place? Well, I'm going to show you what you can do on your end. We can go to profile. Once you talk to your engineer and they say, hey, we're either going to make a revision or this is what it should be. We can go to our default tolerance settings and we can change anything here, right? So we only have items for 2 places and 3 places for this print, but we could add something for 1 place. Keep in mind that all of this is editable. It's a table just like Excel, right? So if you're familiar with Excel, you'll be familiar with this as well. Enter, shift, enter. You can duplicate templates. And then also you can make a template your default. We can rename the templates. I can delete these. It should move up a little bit. I might be moving a little bit too fast right now. We'll give it just a second. All right. So we'll delete. We got to let it breathe a little bit. And we can just actually hit cancel. That'll close that out. All right, perfect. So we're looking good here, everybody. We have our default tolerances set. We have our IDA settings that we did before we added the print. We ballooned our print, which, keep in mind, that might have taken us 30 seconds in total to complete. Our default tolerances, we added that in, but those are already set. So if your customer is using the same one, you can also add multiple customer profiles. You can add multiple default tolerances internally, whatever you need to do. It's very customizable, but we have that done. Our default tolerance is added here to the right. The location is not set, but that only takes a second to do. I can enable our grid, reduce this to an 8x4, pull these bad boys in here. All right, we're going to pull those in. Good. And we can pull these in bottom right. There we go. And now we have it. Do you see this here on our location column? Now we know exactly where that characteristic is. These grid lines might be just a smidge distracting. And if you feel that way, like I do in this instance, we can always just disable the grid line visibility, but we're going to keep the grids enabled. Once this is all set, we just select close, and we are now cooking with fire. Pretty sure that's the expression. We'll go with grid plate now, add this in. A lot of times I'll get questions about being able to balloon notes. And so I'll select open here. And just like what we had before, we can enable our IDA processing, select OK. And the processing has started. Now, since we have already opened up BSB Solid, we've been using Discus, we have gone through multiple settings, there's probably going to be a little bit of a cache here or a little bit more RAM that it's going to be using right now. So this one might take us just a little bit longer, but keep in mind, we're still going to continue with the presentation today. You'll be able to get a good feel for ballooning notes whenever this finishes, and I'll check the time for us here. Looks like it's actually almost done. And you can also see the status reading up here. Now this is flying. This is flying. That's what I love to see. All right, so we'll fill in results here. And with results, we'll add in, actually, here, I'll show you 2 more things before we jump into results. All right, bear with me. We have a few basics here. I'll show you how easy it is to be able to remove any characteristic. You just select, cast the net, hit delete. Done, just like that. Now, here's something that is oftentimes, and it's done right there, grid plate, complete. Grid plate, complete. IDA analysis, complete. That took us about 30 seconds to 1 minute. No time at all. Now, what I can do here, I can zoom in. Now, when I zoom in, I can hit Control W. Now, when I hit Control W, that gives us a virtual whiteout. If you have a really complex drawing, and if you have hundreds of dimensions on your print, that can be a little bit confusing as far as what you need to balloon next, right? So that's why we added the virtual whiteout feature. If I hit Control W, and 3, 2, 1, just like that, they are removed from the print, right? They now have their invisibility cloak on for anybody who's a Harry Potter fan, but they have their invisibility cloak on, and you're only able to see the balloons, which makes it really easy, let's say, to see these candidates, or if you had another dimension that was not ballooned, you see that prominently on the screen. So what I can do now is hit Control W once more to bring it back, and just like that, those dimensions are resurrected, and they're back here on the screen with us. So I can scroll down, and we can see that all of them are here. And keep in mind that candidates do not come along for the ride. What do I mean by that? Well, the candidates will not show up on your report or on your export. So you do not need to worry about deleting each of these candidates before exporting. Now, we're making great time here. I want to make sure that we're staying on pace and staying on our path. We're going to move to results now. All of these columns here are customizable. I made Traveler 1, 2, and 3 specifically for a shop that they requested. I was giving them an example during a training that they can, in fact, make columns and they can create custom templates for these. So all of these columns are customizable. You can edit, remove, you can add columns. I'll scroll back over here to the right, and we're going to start adding in our results. I did not forget about grid plate. We are going to add notes here in a little bit. 0.835, 0.510, 0.00001. Discus can be more precise, but not less precise. Let's have one that's out of tolerance. 0.475. And then we'll go with 9.010, 8.760. And let's say this one is intolerance. All right, and one more that is out of tolerance. All right, here we are. So I don't want to, we can continue to go down the list here. That wouldn't be a problem at all. But for the sake of time, and also just making sure that we understand how it's working, we don't need to finish everything here. But you can also, if we had CMM, which I did not add in, but if I had CMM as our module here, it shows up on the right-hand side. Planner shows up on the left-hand side. With CMM, all I need to do is just add in my report and all of the results will be added in. It's very simple to use. It's highly intuitive, just like the 2D FAI suite. Planner is very simple to use as well. All you do is just update your settings, and then from there, you just route each of the characteristics to the appropriate operational sequence. That's what you do. It's very intuitive, but it's also very helpful. Both of them are, with saving time and being more efficient. Okay, if we wanted to add in design tooling, we could do so. This list is not static. It is a dynamic list, so you can add in anything into the drop-down menu just by going to results, configure custom fields, and then I can add that here. All right, we're getting a good feel for how Discus works and operates and how this can fit into your workflow. For color settings, you would change everything here. BOC columns, if you're saying, hey, in my results field, this is a bit much, Jeff. I really need to kind of taper this down to what we need to use on a day-to-day basis. It's great to see everything here, but I don't think we need all this. Well, you can just move these over. So if you didn't want to have Traveler 3, you could just move that over. And now it's hidden. All right. Now I kept it there. I did not select OK. But if I selected OK, Traveler 3 would be hidden. All right. Now we will move into part accountability. Now with part accountability, we're going to add in BSB solid. And we're just going to add placeholders, actually. No additional changes. Now keep in mind the left two columns are required and the right two columns are optional. Discus, supplier code, purchase order number. Now we're going to go with assembly and partial. At least that we can add a parts list. Non-conformances, no. Verified by yours truly and approved by yours truly. Comments, NA. Parts list. We do not have a parts list on this drawing per se, but let's say we received a parts list from our customer and we're going to add that in. Copy of sample parts list. And then we can add this in as a CSV file and it can identify the header rows. Select yes, and there we go. Next, materials and processes. All right, so this one we can do very much the same way. We can either add it individually, add from a CSV file, or I can zoom into materials and use our text extraction, which is actually kind of fun because it's a new tool. Text extraction over aluminum. Now we have this nice little pop-up window. We can go to specification, right click, add material and process, spec number. We can add in our revision, add spec, code 123, supplier, subco, cert number, doc, comment, and close. All right, so now we have characteristics, we have results, we have part accountability, parts list, materials and processes, and functional test. Functional test, we're going to do the same thing that we did with our parts list, but we're going to do that now with our functional test. So what I can do is just import our functional test. There we are, and select yes. I'm wiping my hands because we have now created an entire report, essentially a compliant document for us to be able to export to our customer. The only thing we might want to do here is move some of these balloons around. And we can move them like so. Scroll up, move balloon, and we're going to have that counterboard depth there with characteristic number 22 that we would probably resolve. We would also add these in, but we did remove those for a reason. Okay, now we're going to look at grid plate. At this point, we'd be able to export to a compliant document. Grid plate, though, has the notes. So this is a question I receive practically every other demo. So I like to make sure that we do look into notes as well. It's vital. So when we're looking at our documents, our prints, we want to make sure that we cover notes. And Discus handles this very well. I mean, you can see here that's already recognized what we have here. We double click the same way that we did before. Double click, we're recognizing we have a flag note here. And then we can also balloon here, and we can hold down shift after we switch from GD&T to notes. Now, this is not vestigial. At one point it was, but we've actually improved this balloon mode switch from GD&T to notes. So now when I switched from GD&T to notes, it's even more accurate. So it picks these up very well. I mean, exceptionally well. Now what I can do is switch to the cursor mode selection tool, and I can now click and drag. And when I click and drag, I can right click. Why? Because I'm going to cast the net and then convert those selected candidates characteristics like we did before with those features. All right, now lastly will be our magic wand. And magic wand is a tool that we implemented two releases ago, two releases ago. So the tail end of 2025. And this is great. So if we don't have a candidate, right, we would have to manually balloon. Well, with the magic wand tool, all I have to do is click and drag, and it's done for me. Now, this is usually done when you have dimensions and you have several, let's say 3, 4, 5 that are really close to each other. Magic wand picks those up very well. With notes, let's see how it does for us. With character number, yep, it did a very good job there. I love to see that. So we may want to move all these to the top of our report. We just click and drag, just pull them up, and it's that simple. Now, if we had one of those a little bit further down, characteristic number 38, we can always just say that this is going to be characteristic number 3 and select OK. That should now be characteristic number 3. Now, let's see, that was an error, a little accident we had. Well, characteristic number 38, hit OK, and now we are done. All right, what I like to do as well sometimes is just hit checked as I've gone through, make sure everything is accurate. For our notes, pass, fail, acknowledged. So we can add those in. For design tooling, we can just say, hey, this is visual. And we can right click. We can edit multiple properties at one time. Let's just say this is visual. Okay. And done. Now it's time for us to export. And this should be about 5 more minutes. And then I would like to open this up for Q&A as well. So if there's any questions that we were fielding, I'd like to be able to answer those for everybody. Now keep in mind, I do have CMM and I do have Planner, and I also have 3D. But there's so much value packed into the 2D FAI suite that I want to make sure that I'm doing this package justice as well. Doesn't mean that in the final 5-10 minutes, we can't explore those. All I would do is just open up that module and show you exactly what you're looking for. All right, so let's go ahead and export. We're going to export to PDF first. And let's just save this to our desktop. If I can find desktop. There we are. All right. We will save and open the file. Yes. There we are now. Should be able to see this. But we have characteristic number 7, 8, 10, 9. So it might seem like we're starting off at a strange numbering system. And why is that? Because grid plate has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now we can align each of these balloons without having to do them one at a time. That's a feature for our advanced training or advanced session. Keep in mind, you can't do that. So this would be vertically aligned here. We can do horizontally aligned. we have different ways to be able to make sure that everything looks organized and clean. But nonetheless, we have exported this not just based off of your characteristics of whether you add in the characteristic or not with an error or whether it's valid, but on this instance, we exported them with your results. So we have either passing, failing, caution, or non-reportable, or we haven't entered any inspection data. But we can also just do this based off of whether it's, giving us a thumbs up for an okay or an error. So we'll scoot back just a little bit. I'll move over to characteristics and let's export so you can see it that way. And we'll just go with 2. Open file, yes. All right, there we go. So we have that error here still with characteristic number 28 at counterbore depth, and we are going to clear that. So I'll close this. And now we're going to export to Excel. Now, when I export to Excel, we have this validation status error, and that's what I was referring to a little bit earlier. So with that, we have these details that we can select. And when we select details, it's going to show us where the errors are so that we can fix and replace them. And for characteristic number 28, bada boom, there's no min and there's no max. So what I can do is double click. We can switch this to counterbore depth. We can add in an upper and a lower tolerance. We can even edit our GD&T. So when we're going through our slide deck, this is what it was preparing us for a little bit. When I was saying we have a granular view, we'll touch on that a little bit. This is what I was referring to. You can switch between freehand or guided. I can close this out. We can add in comments. We can change anything in our dialog box. If it's not reading this correctly, you can always change the scale. You can also change the contrast. You can edit the photo. You can expand the requirement image. So there's a lot of different things you can do within just the characteristic properties. You can also edit your results here as well. So just keep that in mind. Discus is very customizable. It gets very granular. It gets very tight in there just to make sure that you have everything the way you want it to. So still says error. And that's only because it has to update. If I select this again, there won't be any validation errors that we see. Select OK again, and we're good to go. Now what I can do is select one of my templates. And right now we're using AS9102, but you can add in any number of the templates that you would like. We can go to Browse. And when we browse, we're going to save this to our desktop again. Desktop. And we will go with, just add in some placeholder text. Now let's export. And we're going to open this in Excel. So let's open the file. Yes. And in just a moment, we'll be able to see how this looks. There we go. Form 1, we have our part number accountability with our parts list below. Form 2, we have our product accountability with our materials and process and also our functional tests. Any comments that we have will be added to the bottom. And Form 3, we have our characteristic number. We have our reference location. We have our characteristic designator. We have our requirements. Now, if you wanted to, we can also add a picture of your requirement. So essentially, your feature or your call out in the drawing can be added to your requirement section. So you can see that there as well. That way you can cross-reference. Now, you also have GD&T that was automatically added. We have results, pass, fail, acknowledged. We have some results that were added here. And the design tooling, these ones we bulk added, and these two we added individually. Do keep in mind, again, Discus is customizable. If you have a custom template, our support team does an amazing job of having a nice turnaround for you. It should be within 24 hours, depending on the complexity of it, the detail of your customized template. But ultimately, our team makes sure to respond to your questions as quickly as possible to get you onboarded and understanding how to use the software, or having a good understanding of how to use the software, as quickly as possible. Those are the primary features that we would cover with the software. Outside of that, I would show you how to package your TDP. Now, I've had a number of shops who requested to see this, so I found this to be pretty useful. I'm going to just show that briefly, and then we'll move into the Q&A. I think Rachel's going to take over from there. This will be the last thing here. Just package our FAIR. We'll move down to multi-page, no cover sheet. We can export now. We might need to add in a location and a name. And we'll just add this in here. Yeah, that'll be okay. So we'll save this, export. This way you can see everything in one packaged PDF. Now, keep in mind that this, if we had documents, if we had our specs, if everything would be added and packaged into this PDF. You can also export this so that you have each of your files, whether that's your document specs, your drawing, or your certs, all in one place as a zipped file that you can share pretty quickly. We'll open this up really quickly. You can see this here. So much of what we saw just a minute ago. We also have here, my computer's just loading it. Give me 1 second. There we go. All right, so we have our Form 1, Form 2, Form 3. We have our drawings added here. And I didn't add grid plate. I didn't check that off, but I could add that here. And mind you, again, we can have that requirement image that shows up here as well. But just wanted to show you have this as an option. You have 3 options there within Discus, and you also have NetInspect. If you've ever heard of NetInspect, if you're required to use NetInspect, or if you've used it before, Discus is one of the only software options for first article inspection reporting that has a direct integration with NetInspect. So without further ado, I'll pass the baton to Rachel. I thank you for the time. I'm here for any questions and, to be able to respond to them. But thank you all, and thank you, Rachel.
Yes, thank you, Jeff, for such an insightful, jam-packed presentation. There was a lot of good things, a lot of stuff that you showed everyone. So it does look like we received a few questions from our audience. So just a quick reminder to our attendees to get your questions in while we do have our expert on hand. So first question is this solely for first article inspection reports, or am I able to export using different standards?
Yes. So that's a great question. Yeah. So it's a customizable software. So it's not just for first article inspection reports. If we're looking at that, if we're saying, AS9102 is the standard, then yes, it's for AS9102 ISO PPAP, but you can customize the software. You can customize the export templates to match what you need on your end as far as standards are concerned.
Next question, will I be notified of any errors while ballooning or setting my tolerances?
Yes. So that's what we noticed on characteristic number 28, I believe. With characteristic number 28, we had that error because there's no min and max. And so once we correct that, we won't be able to export without correcting it. And so that's a feature, not a bug. We want to make sure that everything is compliant. So yes, Discus will notify you. It will give you an error reading, and you just have to, clear that, and you're good to go.
All right, next question. Is there a trial period, or are we only able to decide from this webinar?
No, that's one of the great things about Discus is that we do have a trial period. Usually shops are able to make a decision within a 14-day period, but we can extend that. I think that we have on our website up to 30 days, but usually 2 weeks suffices. Nonetheless, yes, we do have a trial period and evaluation period where it's fully unlocked. Your license is fully unlocked. It's as if you had purchased Discus yourself. So that's something to keep in mind. It's very useful. I would recommend that everybody tries before buying.
Awesome. Our next question is, what training is available?
Okay, so for training, we have a number of different options here. So we have two 1-hour sessions with myself. And we go over in the first hour, the fundamentals. So a little bit of a recap of what we looked at today. And then in the second hour, we can go over those advanced settings. Now, I like to make sure that everything is pretty concise as we're going through that first hour, because it's a lot to take in. It is an intuitive software. It's very easy to understand and learn. It usually only takes a shop 1 hour, maybe 2 hours to understand what they need in order to produce their first articles and save time. However, if I added on the advanced training into that first session, it'd be like drinking water out of a fire hose, right? So I like to make sure that we're condensing that first session, and that second session we can start moving into other other features, whatever you're looking for, whatever you need help on. I have one more response to that as well. Not only do we have training through that 1 or 2 1-hour sessions, but we also have our support portal. We have documentation, we have videos, we have resources online. So there's a lot of ways for you to get onboarded and understanding how to use the software as quickly as possible.
All right, our next question, does this tool support QIF?
And this is, so it does for, let's say we're going to have read-write capabilities within the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks here. So no later than the end of June. Our next release, we should have QIF read-write capabilities.
All right. Those were all the questions we have. We do have 5 more minutes. So if any of our attendees, if you have any more questions while we still have Jeff on hand, please get those in. I'll give it a few moments. Jeff, was there anything else you wanted to add while we're waiting for any possible last questions?
Well, here's one thing that I can do is I will move to next year. And this is just so everybody has my contact information again. My email is there, jdavis@discussoftware.com, along with my phone number. You have my cell number and my office number. You can contact me at either. If we have any promotions that are running, make sure to just ask me about them. I will add it anyway, but then we can have a discussion around it as well. Outside of that, do keep in mind that we have CMM, which is for importing your CMM reports, an efficient way to be able to add everything into your results panel. We have Planner for manufacturing planning, and 3D for interrogating and annotating your models. So I don't want any of that to be missed. We can cover each of those modules, maybe not so much in the next 2 minutes, but definitely on a call or on a separate demo. So keep in mind, we do have each of those modules available to you.
Okay, thank you, Jeff. I'm not seeing any more questions, so just give it a couple more seconds. But if that is everything that the attendees have, then Jeff, I again want to thank you, and thank you to Discus Software for joining us today, and again, just sharing such an insightful presentation on a very timely topic. And I also want to thank everyone for their participation and the great questions. We hope you found the content valuable and will join us again soon. Until then, remember that SME and SME Media are here to help you stay up to date on all things manufacturing. You can find links to podcasts, webinars, publications, and news by visiting us at advancedmanufacturing.org.